All right, welcome to the Grizzled Geek. Today we are reviewing the Punisher Netflix series.
Yeah.
We both had a chance to watch it over the weekend, binged it.
Yes.
Man,
It is binge-worthy.
it is binge-worthy. All right, right off the bat, why don't we just say where we place it in the Netflix series?
In the
Yeah. Where would it rank? Like, what's your number one? Is it Daredevil season 1 or season 2?
Daredevil season 2.
Season 2. That's where
Yeah.
that's my number one as well. The other time we see the Punisher, but I would place. I'll go ahead and answer.
Okay.
I'll place Punisher next.
Really?
I would put it right below Punisher. Daredevil number season 2. It goes Daredevil season 2, Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Defenders, Iron Fist.
That is interesting.
That is mine.
All right. I am a huge Punisher fan from the 90s when I collected all of the Punisher titles,
Oh, yeah.
Warzone, and all that kind of stuff.
I'm a big Punisher fan.
And I gotta say, honestly, in my opinion, it's maybe tied with Defenders at the bottom of the pile, just above.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You're gonna get some different opinions here, folks.
There are a few things I had problems with. The biggest of which was pacing. This did not need to be 13 episodes long.
I will
in my
give you that.
opinion.
It did not need to be 13. It could have done well with 10 or 12,
Yeah.
10 or 11. But you have an argument against what should be cut. I
That you disagree
with
with, but
slightly,
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into it when we get. Yeah, let's go through the whole
Wow,
thing.
down there with Defenders. Huh?
Yeah, because I really, really love both Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. I liked them a lot because they had a really different feel. Very well acted. I thought they were very tight. Luke Cage's
Second half was
second half is kind of a little bit of a letdown, but it was still, there was a lot of intrigue.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if what we want to get into. Part of what disappointed me with the Punisher is I thought we were going to get a connection to Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and all of the military subplots that were in there. Nothing, nowhere in there.
I didn't expect that. First season out, I expected. I will tell you this: It wasn't what I expected either. What I expected was, judging from what we saw in the trailers and from Daredevil season 2, and I was a little worried about this, that it was just going to be nonstop, him just mowing down gangsters every episode, right?
Yeah.
On a one-man war on crime for 13 episodes.
Right, yeah.
And which would have been a little much. And I'm really pleasantly surprised at the direction they went. This is a true drama as opposed to, action.
Mm-hmm.
There's some great action scenes in it, but I mean,
Right.
I would say it's character building, right? It's story building. I mean, this is the story about, PTSD. I mean, that is the theme
Yeah.
of the series, right? And how it affects different vets, and how, basically how different people deal with loss and trauma.
Right.
And it's a very powerful message for the series, and one I think that they did really well. I think, I personally, I really enjoyed it. I was a big, you're a big Punisher fan. I am a huge Punisher fan. I mean, my senior year of high school, I think I had 5 different Punisher shirts.
Yeah.
That's all I wore every day was a different skull shirt.
And nowadays, he would have been flagged.
Oh yeah, I would have totally been.
School
Yeah,
psychologist.
I had a trench coat and a different fucking skull shirt every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely be. On some watch
and
list.
I get the the importance of the PTSD and how it was central to the story. It just felt like you were being hammered over the head with it. It was like over and over, and just it was nonstop. It was almost nonstop, and from multiple. I mean, and it's not just the combat vets. You also get PTSD to a degree, even from Karen Page.
Yeah.
You get it from the leader, the main agent character,
Yeah.
whose name escapes me right now. Whatever. I can remember her partner, Sam
Rollins.
Stein.
Oh,
but-
you're talking about The cop.
Agent.
Right there.
She's right there. Rose something or Dinah.
Dinah.
Yeah. I don't even Madani.
Madani.
And Punisher says her name over and over
know,
again.
Madani.
So I'm not Madani. Yeah.
Yeah.
So almost all of the characters, all of the main characters have some form of PTSD and how they're dealing with
Some form of loss, some form of tragedy that they're having to overcome,
Right.
And how they're dealing with it. And I mean, like I said, that's the main theme of the series, and I think they do a really good job seeing that from the different angles, right? I mean, this wasn't really just a Punisher freaking kill fest.
Right.
This was,
Yeah.
In
fact, he starts out trying to avoid it.
yeah,
He's trying to stay quiet, stay
Right.
under the radar. He did what he set out to do.
Before we get into the spoilers or anything, I can just say this: he's done being the Punisher in not just episode 1, before the credits of episode 1.
Right.
He retires as the Punisher, finishing his job before the credits roll on episode 1.
Right.
So, take that. So he's,
Yep.
it totally, changed what I thought the series was going to be about, and
Right. Yeah.
I liked it. So, okay, so let's talk characters. We'll start right off the bat. Frank Castle is John Bernthal the best Punisher on screen
Yes.
by far.
Yeah.
Thomas Jane,
I like Thomas Jane a lot, but he was almost too much of a pretty boy.
right? It's Ray Stevenson, Thomas Jane,
Yeah, this
and Dolph.
and Dolph.
Come on, man, Dolph Lundgren.
No, John Bernthal.
Better than Dolph?
He's perfectly cast
I love Dolph Lundgren, but yes.
as as the Punisher.
I mean, I'd say out of all of them, I would say Ray Stevenson's probably looks the most like the comic book Punisher,
Yeah,
right?
at least the Frank Miller version.
Yeah, right. Or even yeah, true.
I mean, John Bernthal has the shape, the look, the body type of the early Punisher work where he was guest starring in other comics.
Yeah.
More. He kind of fits that traditional mold a little more, but once Frank Miller got a hold of it and he was bulked up,
Right.
he definitely raised.
Or anytime like John Romita Jr. drew him.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, John Bernthal is amazing as the Punisher, not just for his physicality. I mean, there's other people that are bigger, more defined than him, but just he's such the caliber of acting that he brings to the role.
yeah,
I mean, because this is about, I mean, at the very heart of it, like I said, we're talking this is a story about loss and about pain, right? And they, basically hammer home, his loss and pain is, his family,
Right.
his wife. I mean, that's how he copes with pain is thinking of his wife.
right,
So every time he gets in, punishment, which he gets punished a lot in this, he takes some hits. We'll talk about it later. He thinks of his wife, and that's what gets him through. A lot of emotion there from this guy. It was, I would say, looking back on this was quite a challenging role. Whoever's going to take this, I don't know if any of the other Punishers would have been up to this.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it would take an actor of this caliber to pull off this role in this series.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Let's talk. Anything you want to add about Punisher? No.
No,
He's the best.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job.
All right.
I don't want to get too much any more gets into spoiler
till we get
territory.
to spoilers. All right.
Yeah, so
Micro.
he annoyed me at first,
Yeah.
but then it started to dawn on me that that's exactly how you were supposed to view him.
Yeah.
So as that kind of drew, as I kind of got into that and saw how he interacted with the Punisher, then I was like, oh, okay, he's perfect.
This is a better version of Micro than Newman's take on him in Punisher Warzone.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm not thinking of any of these guys as Microchip. He's not the same because the character motivation is totally different.
Yeah.
Just the general
I think it was a good take on
relationship
Microchip.
between 'em.
Right. Yeah. The relationship is different. I mean, you kind of get that bonding, a little bit in this. They like the end of this. You see kind of like the comic book Micro Frank relationship, kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
With the trust and the friendship, but it's obviously, I was a little taken back because Micro's always been like, the fat guy from the comic books, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was Newman playing him, but he looked like the microchip from the comics.
Right.
So the skinny computer hacker microchip, took a little bit of use to, but I really like the character. I mean, his, again, a lot with the, dealing with the loss.
Right. Some of the best scenes were the two of them bickering.
Yes.
Those were some of the best scenes in the show, in my opinion.
Yes. The unlikely alliance.
Right.
No, it was. I mean, I liked him. I thought it was great. I like I said, when I heard this guy was cast, and I looked at him, I'm like, this doesn't look like Microchip. We'll see how this goes. But yeah, he's more of like the insider kind of,
Right.
the informant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of, computer hacker. So, all right. Madani, let's talk about her. She's probably the next biggest person here. This is a lot of her story as well. I mean, more so. They focus on her story a lot more than I expected. She is the Homeland Security agent that's basically trying to track down Castle and Microchip for answers, dealing with stuff that happened in Afghanistan, in Kandahar, back with Frank's unit. So she's trying to solve a mystery, and a lot of the story is, you get her perspective on a lot of, she is the B story,
Yeah, she's definitely. She gets now. I didn't time out everything, but she gets almost as much screen time as Frank does.
Yeah.
And she's kind of the motivating impetus for most of what's going on, both on the good guy and the bad guy side.
Yeah.
So, and I thought the actress who played her did a great job, and I liked her story, including some of the twists that you get that we won't get into until
Spoilers,
into the spoiler stuff, but kind of that any more I want to say about her is spoiler territory, so we'll just leave it at that. I think she did a really good job, and I liked that character.
I was, you always need in any of these shows, you need the cop perspective, the person who's chasing down Frank, because he's not, he's a vigilante, right? This guy's a psychopath. He goes out and kills people,
right?
Kills bad people, but he still kills people, right? So there's always going to be that the cop that's chasing him down. And in the past, it was his partner, when it was, or somebody trying to track him down. I like Madani as the person who's hunting him down. I think she brings something to this. She doesn't have the personal connection to him, right?
Right.
So he's just like he's the legend Punisher.
Yep. Well, the great thing is I like the twist of she's not trying to bring him in bring him to justice. She's trying to use him to solve the mystery that she's working on.
That's true, yeah. So it's not her personal passion to bring in the Punisher. Which is the take they usually go with in these kind of things.
Yeah, you got to stop the Punisher.
Yeah.
He's, the Punisher, blah.
Yeah, he killed someone close to me or something, I don't know.
And between her and Micro kind of brings him back to being the Punisher.
Yeah.
Whereas he had been out of it, and he's like, I don't want to do that anymore. I did, but then we find out more. Okay.
We're not going to talk about the bad guys too much without getting into spoiler territory.
Right. Okay.
Although, if you read IMDb or if you saw the new headlines that Ben Barnes was cast as Billy Russo, and if you know anything about the Punisher lore, Billy Russo in the comics is Jigsaw, right? And IMDb has him listed as Jigsaw, which is not accurate.
It is not.
It is not accurate. So we'll get into that in spoilers. But as far as, you get the twist that he's a bad guy fairly early on, right? So it's not really spoilers at this point, because anyone who read anything about the casting of him and this knows that that's who he's playing. I was surprised by him. He had a take on the character that I didn't expect. And I really liked him. I think he made. I got a good bad guy, I guess.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: is you get another. It's not. You can't really say he has PTSD, but you get other psychological ramifications here.
Yeah.
Whereas you could say that Frank Castle is a psychopath.
He's a sociopath.
He is a sociopath
Yeah.
because he does not have empathy for other people's feelings.
Yeah, he can fake it really well.
He
We've seen
fakes it,
in
but
flashbacks and everything else.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
I mean, he even actually, well, again, spoiler territory, not too much. He actually says that, Frank was his only friend.
Yeah.
The only person he ever felt a connection to, and that he, that he was friends
And
with.
even when he's deep in bad guy mode, you see him. He does feel something for Frank, which is odd.
And only him.
And only him. He's the only person he actually gives a crap about.
Yep.
And you see how he treats other people in his life, and you're just like, oh, this guy is a sociopath. Mm-hmm. All right, but we'll talk more about him when we get to spoilers. Karen Page. Karen Page was one of my favorite
Yeah. I mean, but
favorite parts of Daredevil. And again, I really like her in The Punisher. The fact that she's in this,
Right.
Not enough, in my opinion. I would like to have seen more of that relationship develop.
Okay.
I think. Well, I guess I don't want to get it too much. If this worries me so much because I know what the storyline they're doing for Daredevil season 3.
Yeah.
So I'm
Whether.
like,
Yeah. See,
and if they follow the comics, that's going to go bad for Karen.
Right. The way they've built her up in this Netflix universe, that just really doesn't make sense for her character to go the route that she does in the comic books.
Right. So I'm really hoping they don't go that route with her.
And I know I like the actress who plays Karen Page.
Deborah Ann Wool. Yep.
And I like her take on the character and everything like that. She comes across as if Frank is just a direct substitute for Daredevil.
For Matt.
Yeah. She has the exact same reactions, like, what are you doing? I worry about you. I care about you. You should have a regular life. And it just seemed kind of repetitive to me, which is why I was kind of like,
Well, it makes sense. She's the kind of person she's attracted to, right?
Yeah.
As dangerous individuals. She already got rejected by Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I feel sorry for Karen, man. She keeps putting herself out there for, men that are not available.
Yeah.
They're not good for her.
Right.
Neither one of those relationships are good for her, even
Right.
though, you kind of want to see her end up with one of them. I like the actress. I like the character. I was glad to see her. There's a bunch of other characters we can talk about, like Madani's partner, Sam.
Yeah.
He was a good, I thought he was going to be comic relief at first, but he turned out to be,
he is occasionally.
a little, but he's a decent character.
Mm-hmm.
There's Lewis, who is another soldier with PTSD,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which he has a subplot to the story we'll get into. Curtis, who is one of Frank's fellow soldiers who has a group for people with PTSD.
Right.
So there's several other people in it, but out of the secondary characters in that, is there anything that stood out to you or anything you want to bring up now?
No, you know what? Let's just get into the spoiler part. 'Cause a lot of the stuff with the secondary characters are
exactly. I don't want to get into too much detail with them.
So,
bottom line is, I really enjoyed this Netflix series. I said I rank it up there with Daredevil season 1. Doug, not as much as me, but he was still a positive review for you.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is even the much maligned Iron Fist is a B- C+ series in my book.
Yeah.
So this is like a solid B grade for me. If we're 4 out of 5 stars, some 8 out of 10, something like that. It's still a good show.
I was going to say, what ranking system we are?
I don't know. We go back and forth. I think we do 1 to 10 on TV shows. But
okay.
Yeah. So
8. You're going to get it an 8.
It's an 8. Yeah, I think it's an 8.
Okay. Sweet. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Yeah. See, for me, Daredevil season 2 was like a 9.5.
Yes.
And all of the other ones range between a 7.5 and that 9.5. They all of the Netflix shows are really well done, and they all fall in that. I didn't dislike Iron Fist as much as other people.
Yeah, I think I gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, so saying that it's just above, that right around the Defenders level is still, it's an 8. It's a good score.
Yeah.
So
Thing is,
I don't want people to think that, oh, why are you hating on the Punisher? I don't hate the Punisher. I had a few problems, but overall I liked it.
see, I look at this back me growing up. Remember the shows that we grew up in? It was like,
Oh yeah. Things that we would have given an 8 then or 6s now.
oh yeah, exactly. I'm like, I look back and I'm like, you guys are spoiled with all the great TV you have right now. The fact that this, like any of these shows, we would have killed for. If we'd have had Iron Fist back in the day, we'd have loved it.
Yeah,
and watched it every week. But yeah, I mean, they're really great. So I'm, yeah, it's hard judging these shows, especially when you have like stuff out now, like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and all these TV shows out now that you're like, this is amazing stuff, right?
Right. Yeah. So you kind of have to put it in context of what's out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I like
this
it a
was
lot.
solid.
It just was
solid and binge worthy. If you are a fan of the Punisher, you're a fan of the Marvel Netflix series. If you like the Daredevil, you like Punisher and Daredevil.
Yeah.
Check this out. It's well worth it. Spoiler time.
Yeah.
You ready to jump into it?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. If you have not seen the Punisher, go binge it. It's only 13 hours.
Why are you watching a review if you?
Yeah, true.
Well, I guess maybe you wanted to know whether you should watch it, and we already answered that. Yes, you should.
Yes, go watch it and then come back
It
and
is
watch the rest of
binge-worthy.
this video.
Yeah.
He's the best hero.
It's not a hero.
Our
but-
production assistant seems to think that Punisher is a hero, not an anti-hero.
AKA director.
AKA director. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay, let's get into it. Spoilers.
Yeah. All right. No Jigsaw, guys.
No Jigsaw. Now
Possibly.
Ben Barnes plays Billy Russo. Billy Russo is Jigsaw in the comics.
Yes, but he's
And-
not yet.
But he's not yet. And in fact, from the very beginning, when I saw it was Billy Russo, I'm like, okay, they're going to have Jigsaw in this. Jigsaw's going to be the main bad guy.
Right.
We didn't hear who was the bad guy in this, and all the everything talking. So, like, okay, Jigsaw's going to be the guy.
That, to me, that was one of the weaknesses of the show. Was Billy Russo, you find out relatively early, even if you didn't know who he was,
Yeah.
too early if you didn't know who he was, that he's a bad guy.
Right.
However, he is not until way late in the series does he do anything bad guy-like.
Yeah. No.
So for the majority of it, the bad guy is just this faceless CIA agent and the CIA program, Rollins.
Well, Rollins is the big bad,
But
he's the guy that Castle has to kill.
he's like it's way too generic. And it's like, I guess they don't go too super generic in that, I was just, the reason I did all of these bad things was because I wanted to make a bunch of money off of selling heroin.
Yeah, heroin.
Where instead you get a little flip-flop on that, where this guy is actually a true believer. He was selling heroin to fund this off-the-books program that he thought was doing good things.
Right. Well, apparently he got good intel because he got promoted through the CIA.
Yeah.
And they kept saying that
He took out high-value targets and all that stuff.
Basically, the bottom line, right, before we talk about the bad guys, the storyline is the main bad guys are a group of basically the CIA. When Frank Castle joined a clandestine unit in working in Kandahar in Afghanistan, where they were kidnapping high-value targets, torturing them, and sometimes eliminating them.
Right.
Right.
I would assume always eliminated.
Yes, so we'd always eliminated him. And this guy Rollins was in charge of it. He was a CIA agent
Right.
in charge of it. We got to see a cameo of the Kurgan there too, reprising his role as his colonel. We got to see where he loses his arm too.
Yep.
From Daredevil season 2.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, the main bad guy, you find out that Billy Russo is working, was the other guy was Frank Castle's partner, the other squad leader on his team. He was working with Rollins, who was the CIA guy. And so there's this group and there was a colonel. So there's this group of these guys that were basically as part of this conspiracy. And that he's trying to, basically, they're the main bad guys pulling the strings. They're the ones that eliminated Frank's family, right?
Because they thought he had recorded what was going on. You find out
Somebody else, guys like Gunner, recorded the thing. And Micro was a CIA analyst who basically was...
NSA analyst.
NSA analyst, yeah. who came across the footage,
Yeah.
right? And so he's the one that got when the disc you see at the end of Daredevil
Right.
season 2, where he gets the microchip or the CD labeled micro. He also gets it to Madani,
Right.
who finds out because one of the guys they tortured was a friend of hers from.
Who had discovered they were smuggling drugs.
Right.
He wasn't in any way a high value target or anything.
Yeah.
Like, he discovered what they were doing, so they eliminated, tortured him to find out if anybody else knew,
Right.
and then eliminated him.
So Frank Castle's got all this guilt because he realized he did some wrong things there. Had to realize he was following orders and is doing it, but he kind of got lost in this whole thing. So he's feeling the guilt, and then Micro wants revenge against these guys because he had to fake his own death to save his family from suffering the same fates Frank Castle's did.
Yeah.
So the difference is, they killed Frank's family.
Right.
They thought they killed him, and they ended up leaving. And so to keep his family safe, his family thinks he's dead. So he's been hiding out for a year,
Right.
and that's why he recruits Frank, basically to go after these guys.
Right. Yeah.
So Rollins is a bad guy. Ben Barnes plays Billy Russo. We talk about him having, being a pretty face guy,
Right, yeah.
his good looks, and he's named, he's Billy Russo. You're like, oh, he's gonna be Jigsaw. He does end up in a position with a messed up face at the end.
Right. Where
So he could be Jigsaw in future series.
right. Yes.
I'm assuming he will be. But he never officially, I'm Jigsaw. You never see him with the messed up face.
Right. Yeah.
But, oh man, he gets his face messed up in a hardcore way.
Yep.
This series is pretty hardcore with the violence.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of violence. You can see why after the shootings in Las Vegas, why they put this on hold for a little while.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of killing in this.
Right. And there's also, like I said, a subplot with terrorist bomber.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of.
Well, we're in spoiler territory.
Oh, yeah.
One of the vets who has PTSD
Yeah.
kind of just starts losing it over a series of
Unfortunate
things.
events that happen.
Yeah, a series of unfortunate events. He gets, this guy who's lying about being a Vietnam vet, but who's like
Ends up getting him arrested.
gets him arrested and leaves him high and dry, and then he tries to go get a job as a military contractor, but Curtis tells Billy not to hire him because he thinks he's unstable, so they don't.
He is, but he has one chance at,
Yeah.
He almost shoots his dad on, from having a bad dream.
Yeah, he has nightmares and stuff like that. They never explain the source of his nightmares, I don't think, other than he just, whatever he saw
Yeah.
over in Afghanistan or Iraq, wherever he was.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he's having trouble. And then he goes off the deep end after he confronts the guy who lied to him.
Yeah.
And kills him in a fit of rage.
Basically, his two friends that he feels betrayed by him.
Right.
One of them betrayed him by telling him not to get hired, and the other one lied to him about,
Right.
and left him high and dry to get arrested and stuff. So,
And I actually, in watching the episode, I don't know anything about PTSD. I've not read up on it. I don't know what's going on. I felt, seeing what was going on in the episode, I think Curtis made the wrong call. He seemed to be snapping out of it and getting back into I have a structured life. I have a motive, something motivating him when he was going out to be the government contractor.
Yeah.
You thought like, this might fix him.
yeah.
This might give him what he needs to feel like he's got a
Curtis
purpose.
didn't feel like
and
he
stuff
wanted
like-
to see, he should see action again.
Yeah,
given
and
his-
Curtis is like, he shouldn't be back there. I think that may have been the wrong call. They never address that.
Yeah.
Whether or not he made the right call on that. Curtis doesn't bring it up. But anyways,
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he ends up being
becoming a terrorist bomber.
Terrorist
That
bomber.
was where we were going with that.
Yeah. Now, while Doug sees this as a extraneous, this is where it could have been cut down a few episodes.
Yeah, there was a lot with this.
I can see the argument where this storyline kind of padded the series.
Yeah.
Bring it out to the 13 episodes because
Well, and even if you were going to put him in that role to paint a difference between him and Frank, they did an awful lot of lead up to this.
they did.
He gets a lot more screen time than I thought he should have. That's all I was
Probably.
getting.
I will say this. I agree with you that he probably got more screen time than he should have, but the payoff episode is one of the best. It's a non-linear episode. Basically, you come in at the end of the episode, what happened, and there's a lot of flashbacks to what happened in that day, told from different perspectives. So you get to see the same thing unfold from several different points of view.
Right. Yeah.
It's where the Frank Castle it brings Karen back into it. So any episode that has Karen in it is got to be good. It's where in that one episode, a combination of the storyline with Lewis, with the bomber episode, you get Karen back into it. You get that non-linear episode storytelling that I really liked, and you get Billy Rizzo revealing himself as the bad guy. Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in that one episode. So the payoff for that storyline, in my opinion, was worth it, but they could have cut the build up down quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of him killing lobsters, right?
Yeah.
Like you argue that there's only one real scene where he's the Punisher.
Yeah. Well, yes. After you get a little montage.
Yeah.
At the beginning, like you said, before the opening credits, where he finishes what he started in Daredevil
He
season
kills
2.
all the mobsters responsible for killing his family.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, you literally come into it with somebody going, "I'm the second to last left," and then that guy gets sniped across the border.
Yeah, he can't get me. He's in Juarez, Mexico.
Yeah.
And then Frank's in El Paso on a rooftop, and he snipers him from like several miles away.
Right. And then you get him choking a guy out in the
men's room,
which was a little kind of funny scene.
Yeah. And then he runs over the two bikers.
That's where we started.
Yeah.
That's the start. But then, that kind of gets you like, okay, he's working on it. And then you see
so then he gets rid of his weapons. He burns his flak jacket with the Punisher skull on it.
Right.
He quits being the Punisher. We start off this series with Frank working construction, trying to work through his PTSD.
I'm trying to think of what kind of construction project is both building, yet at the same time having somebody use a sledgehammer on a wall 8 hours a day. I can't figure out what he was supposed to be doing construction-wise, but whatever.
Yeah, he demos brick walls with a sledgehammer instead of a pneumatic.
In a building they are building, not tearing down. So that's why I was like, what is it?
They're renovating.
But anyways,
they're
renovating.
And just like any good hero story, circumstances drag him back into it when he befriends, he doesn't really befriend a kid.
Right.
Kid tries to befriend him.
Yeah.
And then the kid ends up falling in with some bad guys who also happen to make fun of Frank all the time, but he takes it because he's not trying to be the Punisher, not trying to hurt people anymore.
Right, yeah.
These people don't deserve it. They didn't kill his family, right?
Right.
So he turns an eye away from crime. He's not out on one man trying to stop crime, right?
Yeah, right there.
He's he's trying to live his life. Then the kid gets in trouble with these kids, and the guys he falls into get in trouble with the mob. Mm-hmm. And they come back and want to try to kill the kid.
Right.
So Frank has to save the kid. He ends up getting sweet revenge on,
on the guys who were
giving him crap.
And we're trying to kill the kid.
He kills people with a sledgehammer. Man.
And then you get what I would
Thor
say
ain't got nothing on Frank Castle with the hammer.
Then what I would term is probably the only real classic comic book Punisher moment in the series is he goes into the bad guys, the mob's base, and just takes them all out.
Yeah.
With surprise tactics in the dark, and makes it into a murder suicide. That was one of the things that you're just like, oh wow, was that on purpose or on accident? But he makes it's reported in the papers as a murder suicide because the last guy left, he grabs him and makes him shoot himself.
Yeah.
So you're kind of okay, that's kind of cool.
Frank Castle is not a surgeon. He fixes problems with a sledgehammer.
Right.
I mean, there's several ways you could have probably got this kid out of the problem. They stole money from you could have got, returned money, got the guys that killed the guys that took the money, right? You could have saved the kid. Somebody's like, oh, you owe money to the mob? You stole money from the mob. I guess I got to go kill mobsters now.
Yeah.
So he just goes down there and just takes out all the mobsters.
So now there's a lot of other examples throughout the series of Frank Castle, the Punisher, as like a commando type person. Mm-hmm. But that was the one moment that was like, this would have been in a Punisher comic with him invading the even the points where he puts on the skull chest piece.
Yeah.
When the bad guys are invading his base, that's not a position the Punisher would have normally been in the comics with the bad guys coming to him. He almost always went to them.
Right. So. I will say this. They went out of their way to make sure that Frank was the good guy in all this. Right. He does not kill innocent people. He goes out of his way. The only people he kills are bad guy mobsters, right? Murderers, people doing bad things. These paramilitary guys working for Russo that come after him and kill his friends.
Yeah, he'll defend himself.
Like when there was actual like police officers or whatever, or Homeland Security, he wouldn't kill any of those guys. Right? He went out of his way. He's like, well, what do I do? I'm not going to shoot these guys that,
Right. Even he does end up having to shoot a soldier that he didn't want to. He tried to talk him out of it, but then he shoots him in the leg.
Yeah, he shoots him in the leg.
And then leaves.
Yeah, he's had to break into a military base to steal this one bad guy out of the military base. And, he's trying to avoid killing soldiers because these aren't Russo's paramilitary guys, they're soldiers.
Right.
So, and like I said, he shot the one guy in the leg that he had to shoot.
Yeah.
So they went out of his way to make sure that this guy, and not only that, he saves people and he helps people that, Micro's family is like a big example of that. He's They need a lot of help. They think Micro's dead.
Yeah, this is where this became much more of a drama than an action show in any way, because there was this. There was a lot of back and forth with Micro's family. Mm-hmm. I would make this, Frank's trying to be a good guy, but he does it in almost a creepy kind of way to a point where you're like, why are you just get out of there. Stop talking to his family and leave him alone.
Yeah, it's like, But he's
trying to help.
He's trying to help. And he's also kind of clueless. He doesn't have the social skills anymore, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't. Like, he brings her flowers that time,
Yeah.
like, as an excuse to come see her. And, doesn't realize
to check up because she's gone dark.
I mean, her husband's been dead for a year now, right? Or she thinks he's been dead for a year now. This guy shows up, fixes her stuff around the house,
After she hits him with his car.
Yeah. Is nice to her kids and brings her flowers. We all see the writing on the wall. We see where this is going.
But right? Frank doesn't.
But Frank doesn't. He doesn't see. He's like, oh, wow. When she kisses him, you're like, whoa. So, and to make matters worse, that she's under surveillance from her husband.
Yeah.
Who gets to see the whole thing. Frank, he tries to be, and even in the family, talk about the whole theme of this series, again, is loss. Her dealing with the loss of her husband, how his kids both deal with the loss of their dad,
right,
in totally different ways,
right.
You know, his daughter throws himself into her schoolwork, and his son
trying to help her mom, and taking all kinds of stuff on her shoulders.
Yeah, and his son becomes a jerk and sort of bully and steal stuff.
Right.
So I mean, it's so many layers to this. This was such a good series, in my opinion. We talked a little bit about some of the problems that we had with you had. Is there anything else? Any other problems that you have with the series? That
yes, there is one big problem, and I think this is what you were alluding to.
Yeah.
Is Frank Castle is superhuman in this?
Is Wolverine healing factor?
Yeah, he is. He gets wounded in some way or fashion in almost every episode.
Towards the end, grievously so.
I mean, he should not have been able to function in half of the episodes, just with what was happening to him. He got an arrow through his shoulder. He got shot in the abdomen, and yet still took out 9 special forces guys with his friend.
I mean, he passed out.
By the end, he passed out trying to drag his friend out, and Micro had to save him, and had to call Curtis in to patch him up.
Yeah.
Curtis is apparently an amazing healer because we don't
the best corpsman he ever saw.
Yeah, in the first, I would say 6 episodes, we don't really have a good handle on how time is passing.
Right.
But it ramps up as it goes. Everything is coming quicker and quicker and quicker, so that by the time you're in the last few episodes, it's all within a day or two.
There's 2 days. Yeah, there's 2 days. The last 3 episodes take place in 2 days.
Right, and he is in that time period, he is beaten up so badly that he should not have been able to function. He has a broken rib that has punctured a lung, but apparently all he needed was to have some of the blood drained. And then Madani's father is just an amazing doctor, and again, he's okay to function after that.
Yeah.
He was literally choking on his own blood, about to die. He gets the blood out of the lungs, which apparently miraculously repairs it because he didn't have surgery to have the rib taken out of his lung, but apparently putting on a flak jacket, he could then function just fine after that.
Right.
There was just some ridiculous amount of damage that everybody took. The CIA agent, who's in his 60s when this is happening, gets a knife that is probably 6 inches long, shoved into the upper,
looks like upper lung.
Probably an upper lung. Yeah, or maybe just into his shoulder, but he is able to function perfectly well with both limbs.
Beats the crap out of Frank.
Beats the crap out of Frank. It doesn't even seem to slow him down. Being bitten by Frank seems to do more damage to him than the knife through his chest.
I'll just say this is one thing that Daredevil does better than the Punisher did, in that all the abuse that Matt takes, it wears on him. You see him,
right.
He is messed up, and when he goes in with cracked ribs into the next fight, he's got his ribs bandaged up. You see him grabbing his side and wheezing and slowing down. Now, and even when the Punisher was in season 2, as everything he went through after that, he was limping around, dragging the shotgun behind him. After that, he still killed the hell out of people, but he wasn't jumping around doing it. Frank in this one is, like you said, he's
superhuman. He is the most super heroic of all of the Netflix people next to Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Even more so than
Now, they established
Jessica
early
Jones.
on, I'll say this, they established early on he's got a high pain threshold.
Yeah.
And they even show how when he's in severe amounts of pain that he hallucinates about his wife.
Right.
Right? To get him through. That's how he gets through the nights alone. That's how he gets through when he's in severe amounts of pain. He sees her, right?
Yeah.
And that's how he copes with the loss, or with all the pain, how he gets through the pain. But just the sheer amount of damage he takes in the last few episodes.
You should not have been able to physically operate, whether you were in pain or not.
Yeah. However, I don't care. I still love this movie or this series. Punisher's amazing. So, Punisher's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like it.
Despite all of, it may sound like I'm bragging on this, but it's a really good movie. Yeah. It's a really good movie.
I mean, in a series where they got, blind ninja, guy who's bulletproof, a guy who's got a glowy hand. I'm okay with Frank Castle being unnaturally resilient to damage.
And there is a never confirmed but much rumored thing that Frank Castle, even in the comics, actually has some sort of superhuman abilities.
He was part of a government program.
And that was the biggest disappointment for me, is that they did not tie that in. You had 2 shows in a row that had, or 3, no, 2 in a row.
Yeah.
That had this kind of military conspiracy with super people. Yeah. And the fact that they didn't somehow tie this into it just seemed like a waste to me.
Yeah. If you're hoping for cameos from other Netflix shows, Karen Page is it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's the only tie-in to the overall world. But they left it open. I mean, I'm sure this is going to get another series. This is so good.
Another season. Yeah, it should get another season.
Yeah.
If Iron Fist gets a second season, this gets a second season. And now, it may not happen on Netflix, though. If Disney goes with their own streaming service, we may have to wait until everything moves over there. But it will eventually get a second season.
Although they are filming like crazy to get as many in Netflix as possible. Daredevil season 3 started filming this week. And then we got Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Iron Fist season 2s.
Yeah.
All filming this year.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that and how quick. Yeah. Whether or not Disney can acquire a ready-made Hulu service, or whether they have to build their own.
Right.
So we'll see. But nonetheless, it's good. Go see it. Go binge it. If you haven't already, you probably have. If you have, Please let us know what you thought.
Yes.
Did you think any of was I just griping a little too much, or did you agree with any of those?
Are you disappointed we didn't get a full-on Jigsaw yet?
Yeah.
Or you looking forward to him in the next series?
Yeah, let us know in the comments down below.
Be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to support the channel and the stuff we do here on a day in, day out basis, we have a link to our Patreon down below where you can donate $1 or as much as you want. And you get access to cool stuff like videos early, some behind the scenes bloopers, us reacting to a whole bunch more stuff, and cool stuff like, t-shirts and goodies.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your support. Thank you for watching this review of The Punisher. Go out and watch it, and we'll see you next time.